Welcome to See the World Differently. Come explore and discover the world around you. Hello and welcome to 2020. This is the first podcast episode of the year. We're so happy you're here. We know it's very early in January and a lot of people are probably still nursing some headaches or some sleep deprivation. So we're thankful that you're here with us and excited to start a new year of See the World Differently with Oceanscape Yachts. This podcast has just grown more than we ever could imagine, and we love taking the time to be able to sit with you guys and share our interviews and some light on this industry, and of course travel tips that we all know and love, especially as I look outside in a really snowy winter wonderland here in Canada. We're just heading into the cold part. The holidays are over, so for me, the magic of the snow is quickly fading. So I'm also in need of some sunshine, which is exactly what this guest brought. Randi Barry was on the podcast, and she has a ton of experience and she has a ton of different things on the go. So I'll let her explain a little bit about it. But she's one of the creators of Nautic Nomad with her husband. She's been a yachty for years. She's now land-based mainly. She's also has a fashion degree and has that on the side. So she is just an expert at marrying all of these amazing different avenues together and creating this space for all of us. So Nautic Nomad is actually great for crew. It's almost like a TripAdvisor for crew. So she's incredibly knowledgeable in the industry, has done a lot of travel, so she gives some excellent places to go, excellent advice, and I'm not saying that because one of them is in Canada, but I really enjoyed this podcast with Randi. I'm sure you will too. If you don't already follow us on iTunes, Google Play, just click subscribe. It costs you nothing. It also costs nothing to rate and review. It takes literally 2 seconds of your time, and it means the world to us though. So we'd love to see you on there. And of course, give us a follow at Oceanscape Yachts across all of our social handles. And check out the website, oceanscapeyyachts.com. I hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you next month. Great. So today we're here with Randi Barry of, I want to say Nautic Nomad, but you actually have a lot of different names and titles and things next to your name. So without further ado, Randi, I would love for you to explain like kind of how you got into yachting and what you're up to these days.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. Yeah, I got into yachting because I started working at a place called Dent Island Resort. It's up in the inlets between Vancouver Island and Vancouver. I was just working there in the summers to put myself through college. And so I kept on going back year after year. And we redid the docks this one year. Like they did like a multi-million-dollar expansion. And they were able to have super yachts come in. And that was the first time I met, because we had had cruisers and people come in who were running their own vessels. And that was the first time we had super yachts come in where they were crewed, and the crew would come up to the bar where I was working, and I was like, what are you guys doing? And they told me, and I was just like, that's crazy. Like, I just couldn't believe that people were like, they were getting paid to do that job. It was insane. And I'd really wanted to do it. I had done some sailing before in the Med. I'd gotten my STCW. I was like a volunteer sail instructor. So I was like, that's a really cool option maybe for someday. And I had accidentally ended up applying to fashion school in Paris. Like I thought I was applying to school.
Accidentally. Explain.
um, I thought I was submitting my portfolio to Emily Carr in Vancouver. And then they had like an exchange program kind of going with Parsons in Paris. And I guess, yeah, I accidentally applied to Parsons in Paris and then got in, which is
Oh,
awesome.
cool.
Until I saw like the sticker for like how much tuition cost. Because like in Canada, like the school, if I went to Emily Carr, I would have my education paid for. But like, if
You're
going overseas, I couldn't.
international. Yeah. They stick
Yeah,
you with
so I
all
was
those
like,
fees. Yeah.
oh, it's a lot. It was like 30,000 euros tuition for a year, which I guess is
Wow.
normal in the States. But I was like, how am I
Not
going to
here
make
in
that much
Canada.
money?
Yeah.
Yeah, not in Canada. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try this yachting thing. And it all happened really fast. I was working at the resort. I was like, I'd worked my way up to manager and bartender and like wine person. And I applied for this job on like allyachtjobs.com or something. Like that website doesn't even exist anymore.
Okay.
It was like the,
The
yeah,
most
classified.
generic. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And this chief stew like was just like, yeah, okay, we'll take a chance on you. So I quit my job. Like they're like, please just help us out until, end of August at least. So I went straight from Dent Island Resort and then packed all my stuff, went the very next day, flew to Savannah, Georgia, to the shipyard there, and was just like, this is insane. Like
Wow,
it
so
was so
quick.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I deferred for a year for fashion school. I said, look, I want to come, but I just need to make money first. So then that's kind of how I ended up getting my first job on a yacht. It was Cliques, now it's Minderella. But
Oh,
yeah,
cool. I love all these stories because everyone kind of assumes it's either going to be like a pretty straightforward thing, like, oh, I grew up sailing or like I was racing and then I did it. And it's never a generic story. And it's always so
yeah,
interesting. And often it has that exact element that you said of like, and then the next day I packed my bags and I left. Like it's all so quickly
yeah,
happening that you almost don't have a chance to be like, wait, is this crazy? I don't know. But you just kind of do it and it's so exciting.
it is so exciting. Yeah, and it's a really exciting industry. Like I really do enjoy it. So yeah, it was amazing. Like, and it ended up that the boat that I got on, we ended up going to the Med. So I like was in Antibes just before I had to go up to Paris to go to school. So I literally, my now husband at the time was just the bosun, and I was the second stew.
Oh,
He dropped me
cool.
off. Yeah, he dropped me off at the train station, and so I just hopped on the train and took the train up to Paris in time for school, which was amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. I was wondering, like, did you end up going to fashion school? You know, sometimes like you
Yeah,
find a new passion and that's that. But okay, so you went and
yeah.
did your year in Paris.
Yeah, so I ended up going to fashion school, and it was really sweet actually because Darren, my husband, he started sending me like letters in the mail while I was going to school, like letters, like handwritten letters. It was so sweet. I was just like, living in
Oh,
this beautiful house in Paris. I was renting a room, and I would walk out to my mailbox that had like these ivy leaves climbing up the trellis, and like there'd be letters in there from him. It was so funny though. They weren't like love letters. They were just like, this is what happened today, like.
okay.
You
What texting would be
the
now,
boat.
basically.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, like I'm waiting for him to profess his undying love. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I I ended up after that like going back to yachting to make more money, to do more fashion stuff. And we ended up, becoming an item working together on board yachts. Ended up going land based because I had to get my green card, so I couldn't leave the States as often. I had to like retain 6 months,
Oh, right.
and was approached. Yeah, so I was approached by. I was looking for a local based yacht, and I was registered with Elite Crew International, and they approached me about working there with them. So I did that for a year and a half, doing crew placement with them, and then my husband was just like, "Look, it's time. You need to get back to your fashion. You need to start the thing that is what brought you on this big journey in the first place." So we still have Nautic Nomad. We both work on it. He's a full time captain, and then I'm doing my fashion still. So I started doing online studies. Yeah, stuff like that. So I
Okay.
started up a little shop, yeah, called Gypsy Tribe, where I sell little things that I make. But I'm also doing a master class online and just self teaching myself how to sew and getting back to
Cool. Yeah. Always
yeah.
learning. That's the trend nowadays, isn't it? So, can you explain a little bit about what Nautic Nomad is and like why you guys decided to create it?
Yeah. So, I mean, we just saw a need we were working on charter yachts down in the BVI's, and you end up collecting and learning all this information, and we wanted a way to package it up and share it with people and have like crowdsourced knowledge and information. So that's what we wanted to create. And yeah, we just wanted, to be able to share with people in a really easy way where everything is. um, and now we've kind of pivoted, like as our lives have grown and changed, and how like our products and services that we offer have changed, and like it's like everything nowadays, like with especially with digital products, like you pivot. So like we've pivoted a little bit with our website and everything that we do. So like like we moved to land, and we got a duplex, and now we've moved, so we rent out that place for yacht crew. It's right down the street from Lauderdale Marine Center.
Okay.
So now we've got, yeah, so now we've got like it's Airbnb, like crew housing kind of thing for people who are in the shipyard. We do professional connections. um we still have like the website, but yeah, we're just like pivoting around the services that we offer, just from being in the industry and the connections that we have, and just using that the best way that we know how.
Yeah, and it's ideal because being a crew member, you know Okay, it's really depressing if I'm stuck at the shipyard all of winter on a dry dock or whatever it is, and
Yeah.
you want recommendations of where to go, and if you have a place to stay that feels like home after like, living out of a suitcase maybe. So it's really cool. You literally saw a hole and in the market and a gap and you're filling it. And like you say, that is just kind of how the world works now, isn't it? Like you're always kind of pivoting, changing focus, evolving, growing. It's never going to be one stagnant thing. So that's really cool
Yeah.
for other, and I assume the reception from other yachties has been really positive.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, "Wow, I didn't know that that was your business."
No.
Because like I do know a lot of people through other things, like through I have like this group on Facebook called Yachty Bring and Buy, which I started ages ago, and it's just like where a crew can sell things like that are really specific to yachts, or
Okay.
like how yachties, come to town and like buy a motorbike because that's what you do when you're making expendable money, and then they get a job and they're like, I need to sell it quick.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because when I was working at Elite, like I end up meeting a lot of people, and they don't necessarily know like what I'm exactly affiliated with, and they're like, oh, is Nautic Nomad your business? And they're like, oh, you're the girl from Yachty Bring and Buy. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah, your CV would
So
be pretty long if you went and said like these are all my current positions and companies and everything else. But
yeah.
that's cool. Yeah. And speaking of how you're evolving, like Adrift Film Festival is something you've just wrapped up after, or was it before Lauderdale
Yeah,
boat
before the
show?
boat show.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, that was a really busy season for you then. How did it, that was the first one, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
that kind of came about because Shelton from Luxury Yacht Films, I interviewed him for the Nautic Nomad blog, like probably a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2 years ago. 'Cause then when he first launched Luxury Yacht Films, just to like, yeah, I was just interested in what he was doing, just wanted to help him gain some exposure. And he mentioned it to me then. He was like, "Hey, I want to put on a film festival. Like, I think you'd be the right person, to do it with." And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." And then about 6 months ago, he was like, "All right, I think it's the time." I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So, yeah, it was a really great experience. And Francesca, who also became part of the mix. The three of us worked so well together because we each had our own strengths. Shelton's obviously got the filmmaking part of everything. He's been to a film festival, an independent film festival. He's won an independent film festival. So, I've never even been to one or anything. So,
Yeah.
yeah, he had that knowledge. And Francesca is a purser, so she's extremely organized. And I think I was just like the person on the ground, like I'm here, I know lots of people, and was just like able to go to Park and Ocean, like check out the venue, figure out stuff. So it was a really cool experience for sure.
Awesome. Will it be like an annual thing, or do you think you guys are still seeing the fallout from it, like how it all went and feedback, and then sort of decide?
Yeah, I mean it was beyond our expectations. We had over 300 people there. We thought maybe
Wow.
100 people would come.
Yeah.
And like when I knew because we had a sponsor give us beer, Saltwater Brewery gave us 164 beers to hand out for free at the door. And when we ran out of beer, that's when I was like, oh no. And it's
Okay.
still a huge line. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be crazy. So it ended up costing us a little bit more to put on, like with the venue, but it was amazing, and we ended up donating over $2,000 to Yacht Aid Global, and that money's gone directly to children's school supplies in Abaco. So that was really cool
Oh,
experience,
nice.
and
Yeah.
yeah, we're definitely gonna do it again next year. So it will be the same day. We've locked it in at Park and Ocean the Wednesday before the boat show starts in Fort
Okay,
Lauderdale.
perfect. Everyone's in town and looking for something to do, so you're the place to
Exactly,
be.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
And it's
awesome.
not during the boat show because yeah, if you do it during the boat show, like I think it would have been too hectic. There's so many parties that go on
You're
during the boat show.
conflicting. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
for you guys too, right? To be on doing other stuff during the boat show and managing it becomes a whole big beast of its own.
exactly.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah,
really good timing. You have it. Um, so that's really cool. And as you've mentioned, you've kind of been all over. We've been chatting before because both of our partners are from South Africa, so I know you love visiting there as well. But do you have any destination picks for people? Like, it doesn't have to be by boat. We're both Canadian too, so if it's your home country, I totally agree. Yeah, just any places in the world that you could recommend people to go or they really need to see. They love getting recommendations from our interviews here.
okay, awesome. Yeah, so I mean, I think because I spent so many years chasing the sun, like I now crave places like
Yeah.
Vancouver Island, where I grew up. It's incredible. And like really honestly, growing up in the Comox Valley is where I grew up. It's north of Victoria by like 3, 4 hour drive. Um, growing up there, we did everything. We went to the beach, we went snowboarding, skiing, like, we were just always outside, even though it does get cold in the winter, it's still quite temperate. um, you can still go and get a coffee and walk down the docks and look at the boats. And it's just everyone's really into being outdoors. Like on Vancouver Island, like we
Hmm.
had a raw restaurant in 2002 where you could go and like pick up lunch, like raw food restaurant. People are just like super, down to earth and being outdoors and doing that kind of thing there. So it's really great for adventure tourism.
Yep.
Yeah, and like, but growing up there, I was like, oh, this place is, I can't wait to
Yeah,
get
you
out
always
of
want
here.
to
And then
leave.
I went
Yeah.
and traveled the whole world, and I was like, actually, where
You had
I'm
it
from
pretty
is really,
good.
yeah,
But you need to do that, right? To appreciate it.
yeah,
Otherwise you won't. Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, by boat, if people are going by boat, Dant Island Resort is absolutely incredible. Like, they do salmon fishing there. They do salmon fishing charters. You can fly in by float plane from Seattle. You can come in by helicopter. You can stay in the lodges there, or you can arrive by boat and stay in the docks. It's beautiful. Like all the little inlets up there are so amazing, and everything works with the tides because the tides are so huge. So like your whole life revolves around the tides up there, which is like just a really interesting way, I think, to travel by boat.
Yeah.
I love like all those little inlets. Seattle's incredible. On the island is Tofino, like for surfing. In the winter, the surf gets really big out there, which is like freezing cold, but
Yeah. If you're
um,
into surfing, it's worth it.
thing. Yeah, and then in the winter also they have really good storm watching, and then in the summer the surfing's really good.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I'd say as far as cities go, like I just love New York so much. It has so much energy. Like that city just keeps me awake. Like we were docked there at Chelsea Piers on a yacht, and we would get 2 hours off in the day to go for like a nap. But I just
Right.
got more energy walking around the city, just walk around and see things, and it's just alive. Like you just feel so
Yes.
much
And I think
energy.
it's having spent time, like I said, I've lived in London for years, and it's similar there because somebody pointed out once that like in a lot of big cities, especially in Canada, we drive everywhere, or like LA, you have to drive everywhere. But in cities like New York and London, everyone's on the street. Like you're running into so many people and you're feeling like feeding off of all of it, and you're not like locked up in your car. And once I was pointed out to me, I was like, that's so true. It's like its own thriving body, like the city is a
Yeah,
person, and you really don't get it in a lot of places. So that's a great tip, actually. And especially, we always recommend like the fall too, right? Because the colors are so beautiful. Like, if you're not from this
yeah,
part of the world, you just can't beat the foliage. But you said you chase the sun. So is there a
yeah,
sunny place that you, especially as we do head into winter in the north right now?
yeah. I mean, we were based for a long time in the Turks and Caicos, and that place is really beautiful. Like the most pristine waters you've ever seen. They've got like a lot of stand-up paddleboarding there, beautiful, beautiful beaches. It's super expensive, like it's crazy. I mean, for us as yacht crew living there, like our date night went from weekly to monthly because it's just insane. But it is an absolutely beautiful place to go, and it's a great place to visit by boat because there's just, there's lots of little anchorages you can go and hang out and, just jump off the boat in. So it's
Nice.
absolutely stunning.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
feel like you're alone in a place that, has resorts and lots of tourists sometimes, but that's what's great about
Yeah.
yacht charters, right? Like you can feel like you're the only people in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's not that many people that even know where Turks and Caicos is or that it exists as a destination. So it's still pretty exclusive, which is what.
Okay. Okay, so go soon then, right? This is the problem.
Yeah.
Then we
Yeah.
talk about it.
Before it gets out. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really.
And another question our listeners love to hear, but I think you've kind of answered it, is like if you weren't doing the yachting gig, what would you be doing? I'm guessing it would be still marrying your passions with like fashion and sort of networking. And is that what it'd
Yeah.
be? Or do you have something totally off the walls? Like, I've always wanted to be a marathon runner or something, I don't know. Endurance
Well,
athlete competing worldly.
yeah. No, yeah, I think look, I'm doing like Nautic Nomad like full time as my job, as it were, and then my fashion as my passion. And so I guess like if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be working with my husband, like on boats as like a stew or a chef or whatever. But I did want to be in the circus growing up. Like in Canada,
Oh,
like the Cirque du Soleil. I wanted to do that.
yeah.
I used to do the aerial silks quite a lot. Like I own some, and I always wanted to be in Cirque du Soleil. But now I just go and see it. It's
Okay.
fine.
It's fun
I'm
as
too
an
old for
adult.
that
You
now.
can do that. Yeah. I can
Yeah,
still get a taste
exactly.
of
Not.
it.
I think I made the right choice. I was like, I'm either gonna go into yachting or I'm trying to get into Cirque du Soleil, and I think I made the right choice.
Well, I mean, yachting is a bit of a circus and you travel around with both of them. So you've
There
kind
you
of,
go.
yeah. Do you miss being on board or do you feel like that was kind of a season of your life and you're kind of happy to be on land?
Uh, I mean, I like working on super yachts. Like, I don't miss being like me and my husband used to work on like the 60-foot yachts together. Doing I was like chef, stew, and then he's captain engineer. That was really tough on me. Like, that was a lot of work, and
Just
I was
being
just
with your
always
partner or just the juggling of the, like sometimes
the
it can be too much too, right? If you're in tight quarters and
Oh yeah. Like people say if you can get through that job, you can get through anything. So, I mean that definitely solidified our relationship a lot, like just constantly being each other's face. But the job itself, like doing the cleaning and the cooking, it was like a lot on my body and that was really hard. I love being on like the 60-meter plus. Sometimes some boats come through town and they'll be like, "Hey Randy, like, we need a crew chef for a couple months, so you come help us out." And I'll do that like because I love like meeting new people and I love making people happy with good food. Like, that's I love entertaining at my house. So I'll do that once in a while. But I do like the super yachts. But I just being able to be a part of the industry still is such a blessing. I feel like just to still have friends that are in the industry and, still get to hang out with them and because it is so fun. And
yeah,
but yeah,
it becomes like a
yeah, it
family
was
too,
definitely
right?
yeah, exactly. And it's such a just a thriving and interesting, group of people you're always meeting. So doing Adrift, doing Nautic Nomad, doing all these things, I still get to be a part of it, which is so nice.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned, the size of the yacht too, because I had a charter broker friend and they were explaining the same, like they don't know how some of them do because like when you're in a bigger yacht you have more crew obviously to go around,
Yeah,
but like if you're on a small sailboat you're the chef cooking for every single person because there's not enough people like space on the boat to have
yeah,
like a crew chef and the guest chef or whatever. So it's something people don't really realize, I think, because you would think like, oh, smaller boats probably more manageable, but it's like, okay, then you probably wear like 15 hats and
yeah,
don't really sleep and everything else, so it comes with
yeah.
its own.
My friend kind of explained it as like it's like you're at a disadvantage if it was a game. Like, you've got maybe 8 on 2. Whereas if you get on a larger boat, you've got like 15 on 8. Like, like the
Yeah, that's
game just
true.
gets it's like a little bit more even when you have more people, you've got at least one person per guest at least. So
Yeah.
not that that person's, designated to that person, but it's just like, look, I am just the crew chef and I'm just the guest chef and I'm,
Yeah. It's very
just the girl that
clear.
does the laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas when you're on the smaller boats, you're like, I'm everything. It's a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. And it's like whatever can happen happens and you just kind of got to roll with it and then you get stuck and then yeah, I can imagine it's high pressure too, which is funny because it's a luxury and a hospitality industry, right? So the people that you're
Right.
serving are on, super relaxed and they're just here to have a good time. And then it's like, a duck, you're calm on the surface and then you guys are like paddling
Oh
like
yeah.
crazy. Yeah. Neat.
That is such a good analogy. It really is. You're just like, everything's great. And you
Yeah.
go back and you're like, ah.
Yeah, just got to get through it and then, but like you say, worth it in its own way. So, as you
Yeah.
just name dropped all your places, where can people find you? Like, which websites do you want them to check you out on or social handles? We'd love to go and follow you and check you out after this.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, on Instagram, you can find us all of our social handles for Nautic Nomad. We got at Nautic Nomad. So on Instagram, Facebook, our website, nauticnomad.com. I'm on Twitter. So yeah, we're everywhere with that. And then my personal one, which, like I have linked all of my other octopus things that I do, is
Okay.
Randy at Sea on Instagram. It's Randy with an I, Randy at Sea.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Randy. I really appreciate this time. And congrats, by the way, listeners. As you heard, she's also Canadian, but she did get her You got your, I want to call it
Yes,
residency, but I'm
my
thinking green card.
my
Yeah.
US passport.
Yes, that's exciting. So now you
Thank
can
you.
travel freely, eh?
Yeah, it's not such a pain, to be it's just having the restrictions of having the green card. It just feels nicer to be able to be like, hey, now I'm a citizen. I've got my passport. There's no
Yeah.
restrictions.
Work
I
stuff
can
is
vote. I can,
easier.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Well,
great.
yeah, take
Thank
power for
you.
that voting next time you guys are able to. Okay, well, thanks so much, Randy. I really appreciated your time.
Pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to See the World Differently. Until next time, keep daydreaming.